Welcome to the DMF. I'm Justin Younts. This is part two.
So when you started transitioning into directing, just backtracking a little bit here, what was one of the things that you wanted that you saw that you wanted to do that you saw maybe wasn't being done?
Well, I mean, if you look at the bulk of the shows that I've produced and where I one of the things that's always been important to me, and it was important to me when I was an actor as well. And I remember when I got an agent, they said, "Oh, we'll send you out for this and this," and I said, "Look, right off the bat, I don't do tobacco commercials. I won't do alcohol commercials. Let people that really need the work go audition for that stuff. I won't do it."
Yeah.
And they went, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, really, not interested." And and when I set up my film company, I said, okay, I don't do anything with gratuitous sex or violence in it. I don't think it's necessary. I think it's exploitive. Um, the power of suggestion is 10 times more powerful than reality.
Mm.
So if we need to suggest something, then we'll have that discussion. Um, and I've tended, because I had daughters and I didn't think there were powerful role models for young women in film
Yeah,
and
I remember
television,
reading that about when
I,
I was
I
studying you. Yeah.
specifically set out to do projects where the majority of our projects to this date have been doing projects about women rising above adversities
Yeah.
and finding their own self-empowerment, whether it's through advice of a friend or self-discovery, and bringing those journeys to the screen. So I also have done a lot of film projects where it features. I've always liked kids and animal versus nature themes, like the old Yeller, Big Red,
Yeah.
fly away from home, fly away, any of those types of movies, because that human interaction with a mammal in particular, and seeing that connection, the metaphoric issues of an animal facing adversity and a human having to be willing to sacrifice their own well-being for the protection of that animal, and then seeing how they rise above the circumstances together, has always been a powerful messaging for human audiences, young and old.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
that's
a
why,
universal message. Yeah.
yeah, Free Willy was the first movie franchise to gross. No, sorry, Mighty Ducks was even though it wasn't about ducks.
Yeah.
But again, it's that same buddy picture. I mean, it was the Karate Kid. It was, it's all of
Yeah.
those things.
It's just
It's that same
repackaged. Yeah.
buddy picture. But that was the first film franchise to gross $1 billion.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Out of that franchise, there was a hockey team built, or like all this stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
what it did for a $9 million initial movie is astronomical. The first Free Willy was only, I think it was either 9.2 or $9.6 million,
Yeah.
and did 113 million. Old Yeller is one of the most successful movies in the history of filmmaking. There's almost no time that it isn't playing somewhere in the world.
Really?
By by 2001, Old Yeller had an 8,000 time return on investment. Because you got to remember, the movie was only made for like $600,000 in 1961.
Yeah.
So there's no movie in history that's accomplished that.
Yeah. Wow.
Sure, somebody makes a movie for 500 million and it gets to $1 billion gross. Okay, so it made 200%. That one made 8,000.
Yeah. That's
I
a
mean,
much better.
the numbers become staggering, but yeah, it shows the power. I've always believed in the power of family friendly content.
Mm.
So that's the driver for me. So that's why I'm happy to make movies for Hallmark. I'm happy to make, like Blizzard, the poster behind me that we did with
Yeah.
Christopher Plummer, Whoopi Goldberg, Brenda Bleth, and Kevin Pollak. Our youngest daughter was the mean girl in it. That's gone on to become an MGM Christmas classic. It was featured. The score of it, written by Mark McKenzie, was featured at the 75th Oscars. Um,
Wow.
the first 3 minutes of the Oscars was the music of Blizzard, and they were dropping the crystals with the names of all the previous Best Picture winners in it.
Wow.
So no,
That's
so we've
interesting.
been blessed and we've been fortunate, and we really just try to give the maximum amount of quality that we can to everything we do, for the viewer. You know, and, and in this particular,
Yeah.
going back to the Aggies book, it's a slightly different project, but it was a massive opportunity to show the power of Tia and her family rising above adversity, based on that kind of the power of love and conviction and dedication that she had. While it's not a Hallmark movie, and it's set against that backdrop of the Cultural Revolution and China under Mao at that time. To me, it's an incredible glimpse into a culture many of us don't understand in relatively recent history, and not done through a comedic sense, but to be honest, and that's why, like reading the book. I mean, like for me, you can't, you couldn't read the book. You can't.
Yeah, reading the book, it's very hard at times today because you feel like they're just trapped. I mean, it's just like they
Yeah.
go here and then, oh, we can't get on the boats. And I learned so much about how Mao Zedong, operated under there, and just how it just got even more ridiculous. So it's like, okay, no Western clothing, no Western music, remove all your remove all family heirlooms, get rid of everything.
Yeah.
Everything must be Mao Zedong. And I think that was one of the things. I mean, because in the book, you guys go through a lot more
Oh
with
yeah, as even though I directed the movie, the only way I could have done complete justice to that book would have been to have done an 8-part miniseries.
I know that's the only thing. It's so,
but the book, yeah, I mean, to me, and this is, I mean, I hope audiences, go get it, go to Amazon and buy
it's a
it.
very good book.
It's emotionally riveting. It's so compelling. And I think what Aggie did so brilliantly was to let us see the world through Tia's eyes. We can smell the world when we're reading the book that Tia's living in. You hear it. You really feel it from her perspective. And, when you read, just so many times when you're reading the book, you just start to cry. Cause I mean, how can you not feel what this woman is going through and what the family's going through? And, and then, some of the things that we were able to then bring into the movie, the scene of Tia sitting at the dinner table being told if she doesn't, if she doesn't stop dating Jason and submit to being put through a traditional Chinese arranged marriage, that she's dead to the family. I mean, and when I was directing the movie, my entire cast sitting at the table all said that they had all been part of one of these conversations at their own dinner table in their own families growing up.
Wow. Really?
Whether not necessarily each of them, but
yeah,
this, like our Tia in the movie had literally just gone through this before coming to do the movie.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing, the cultural differences that we don't understand.
Yeah.
That the Asian culture has, that absolute, I don't think we really grasp how hard it is for somebody in that culture to leave their family,
Well, that's
to
right.
walk away, which she does for a period of time. But like, and that's almost like, the only thing I could compare it to is maybe like the Amish society when you're shunned,
Yeah. Well, I think this is what's interesting is, having, the people, what's wonderful about a book like this and the movie, and this is, going back to where we started this whole conversation, is that the more we know about other cultures and ourselves and people around the world, the more we realize how similar we are.
Yeah.
Like my DOP was 3 years old when the tanks came into Prague. So for him, this movie, he could totally relate. Our Jonathan Kim, our Jason in the movie, he's Korean, And when there was the war in the Korean War, his grandmother was the last person when all these people were standing apparently on the dock to try to get out of Korea at the time. All these people were on the dock trying to jam themselves into a ship that didn't have enough room to carry them. His grandmother was like apparently the last person that got like shoved through the gate, and then the gate was closed, and the ship pulled away. They started shooting all the people that were left on the dock.
I know. That's how
So
totalitarian regimes think. They don't
yeah,
think, they think in
and
numbers. And
if you look at other cultures where there's so many, we've had so many people that have read the book and said, I can relate to this because in my family, like, it's not dissimilar, for a lot of families from different religious backgrounds, whether it's Judaic or Islamic or Muslim, marrying outside the religious core is a real challenge, and so, and if you come from so many people that emigrated to America or Canada or whatever, or their families did, whether they came from Poland or Hungary or Czechoslovakia, or so many countries that went through these types of turmoils that a Mao brought to China, they can all relate to it. Their family histories aren't completely dissimilar. I mean, the impacts might be different, but that's where you can build empathy because their family experienced something. They can say, "Oh yeah, well, my family went through that in Poland." So when somebody took over, and then there's poverty, and some of the countries from South America,
look
people.
at Ukraine. I mean, I'm sure that
But,
people are going to be, we're going to have people come in there and be like, I remember the day when they came. And it's sad that, people have to keep reliving these horrible atrocities, and
yeah,
we just don't learn.
yeah,
Talking about making it, now we're talking about Dancing Through the Shadow, the book that your wife wrote.
yeah.
How so just give us a brief synopsis of how she came about to write this book.
Well, it's fascinating. Our youngest daughter, Brittany, who's in the movie,
Yep.
she plays Louise Turner. Brittany graduated from Canada's National Ballet School. Your audiences will recognize her from a lot of Hallmark movies and Lifetime movies. She does the lead in a lot of them. She was going to school at Canada's National Ballet School, and Tia was one of Brittany's teachers. So Agnes and I were at the school meeting with faculty and talking about Tia and Brittany's stuff in the class, and they just started talking about Tia, and Aggie and I came on and said, like, there should be a movie about her. Well, you couldn't do a movie if we couldn't figure out about her.
Yeah.
So Aggie talked to her, and she was retiring, and she agreed that after she retired, she would come and talk to Aggie. So, and much to Brittany's surprise, she came home one day and Tia was sitting on the front porch and was like, "What are you doing here?" Because she was like the toughest teacher on the planet.
Yeah.
And, the kids didn't understand why, but when you read the book and you understand the discipline that she had to have, she was going to make sure her students graduating from the National Ballet School had that level of discipline and commitment, and recognize that no matter what they thought they could do, they could push themselves beyond that and excel even beyond that. And so she cared immensely for them, but she was tough, like really tough. And so she came and she would sit here, and Aggie and she would make tea, and sometimes she would make Chinese food for the two of them to have something to eat and do things like that.
Yeah.
And over a period of time, she told Aggie all about her life.
Wow.
And she never imagined that she would tell a non-Chinese person her life story.
It's
And she and Aggie just became very, very close. And so it took a long time because she traveled a lot too, because of her continued dance career. But then as all of that, then the community around Tia that very much supports her came and said, "Would you do this movie?" Because some people are going to go, why is this white guy directing a movie about a Chinese family?
Yeah.
So they asked me specifically if I would do it because of the subject matter of the movie. A lot of Chinese people would be afraid to actually make that movie because of repercussions.
I know. It's still,
Because even though they might be here and want to make this movie, virtually all of my actors in the movie at one point or another were threatened.
that's good.
And or became fearful of repercussions where they had relatives living in China or Hong Kong.
That's
We had
good.
one actress who was because we filmed in two parts. Because of COVID, we got shut down and then had to resume. And when we had to resume, she refused to come back because she was too fearful based on things of family. So we had to work around it. But as out of it, Aggie, after doing the book, Aggie wrote a really beautiful screenplay for it.
So she wrote the screenplay. Okay.
Yeah, she wrote the screenplay as well. And then we filmed it, and it was just with a lot of support. As we filmed for 13 days, we were supposed to film for another 12 days in Taiwan because we couldn't film it in China because Tia can't go to China, and after making the movie, I can't go to China.
Really?
So
Really? Wait. They won't let you.
I wouldn't even attempt. I won't get on a plane that lands on Chinese soil.
Wow! Just because you made that movie. Wow.
Yeah.
Did they threaten you directly?
No. I mean,
You just know that.
I know, and we got
lots of
both Aggie and I got we got lots of phone calls on our lines here where all of a sudden somebody was speaking Chinese and we knew like, oh, this is just too weird. At the same time as some of our actors were being told you shouldn't be doing this movie, so
talk a little bit because you've got this book and you're going to adapt it. Talk about like adapting what you decided to take out, what you decided to leave in. Did you think about making it maybe an 8-part series, or was that just not feasible at the time?
it wouldn't be feasible. I mean, it's hard enough to make a movie about Chinese subject matters and Chinese culture and things like that in the North American environment anyway.
Yeah.
And getting broadcasters lined up and completely on board to doing a 4, 6, 8-part miniseries about a Chinese story that isn't the fabric of American culture. And it's like, okay, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So we knew the story needed to be told, and we wanted people to hear the story and read the story and then see it in a way that, and with it being at MGM now and them starting to distribute it through broadcasters globally, it would give the opportunity for people to discover their neighbor, or maybe ask questions of somebody that they know and say, tell me your story, because this isn't just Tia's story. I mean, it is Tia's story, and her story is unique to her, but thousands and thousands of people and people living in North America, their relatives experience the same thing.
Yeah.
There are many grandparents in North America that are Chinese that lived there, that went through it.
One of the things that was interesting in the book, you don't get into it in the film, but in the book, she goes first to America, and they're trying because they live in Maryland, and then they decide to go there. It made me upset because I'm just like, here's two people that want to work here and want to do the right thing, and they can't get visas, and it's not the first time I've talked to people like that. We have this, xenophobic culture here in America, and it's just like you see by these strict laws, you're hurting the people that actually do want to do is they can't come there. So they gotta come to Toronto. But I'm sorry, you brought that.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, that was a moment in time because you can only tell so much within a 2-hour movie, and you can only I didn't want to do a 3.5-hour movie because I'd have lost the audience there too.
Yeah, too long. Yeah.
So you have to identify, and so Aggie and I, went through and we talked about those things that move the story forward. Yeah. Whether the point was that she defected.
Yeah.
She came to Toronto, and it was years later that she got to see her son. So that moment of seeing them leaving on the train is It was gut wrenching for her. So to me, that what was important. And then saying that they then began to build this new journey for their life. And that was really where kind of the story we're doing a section where now they're in the US, now they're trying to get to Canada.
Yeah, no, in the time frame that you're telling, that wouldn't been there. But the only reason I'm bringing it up is just because I think it's a good example of what's going on now with this hate of immigrants. And I'm like, this is the people you're actually hurting. It's not if villains want to come into the country, they're going to find a way in, and they're not going to do it through the visa. The good people are they're the ones that are going to be punished. It's just all the way, but I don't know.
It's really sad. It's really sad. Yeah, there are so many aspects in the book we couldn't do, but it was just wonderful.
What about the language? That was one of the things I thought about. Did you think about doing? Because I don't know what the
doing it in Chinese,
Mandarin, or Cantonese, or
no. We specifically, the whole purpose of doing this movie in English language is China really exports no movies to the rest of the world because they're all in Chinese, and you're not going to get. Certainly, North Americans aren't going to watch the subtitled movies, and they're so Chinese focused that they're not really telling you this type of a story. It'll never come out of China because everything has to be reviewed by the Chinese Cultural Board to make sure that it's promoting China. So, no, the whole purpose of this movie was to do an English language film that the rest of the world could see.
Okay.
Whether I dub it into French or I dub it into German or whatever, but that an English language population could see this and gain some understanding.
Now, I pretty much don't know the answer to this question, but you were not able to film in China. It would have been shut down production of
it would not have been good. It would not have been pretty. So we were going to film in Taiwan, and then post-COVID, it was just too expensive for us to get there because we would have had to quarantine between going there and coming back. We would have had close to 20 days it was like 28 days of total quarantine to shoot for 11 days. So it would have cost me, and I had to pay everybody when they're in quarantine. So it would have cost me 3 times the cost of the shoot to go there. So we ended up with great visual effects and everything else, discovered that, for instance, Toronto's pretty much on the same latitude with Beijing. So we found a park here in Toronto that had duck ponds and wooden bridges and echinacea plants growing, which looked like it came right out of Beihai Park in Beijing. So then with visual effects, in the movie, you would have seen some pagodas in the park where they're sitting.
Yeah.
Well, we filmed those scenes in Toronto. The rice fields, we went north of Toronto to a glacial valley called the Holland Marsh, which is one of Canada's most productive agricultural spots. And in that area, we found a section, and then with visual effects, we put the mountain with the rice fields behind it. Yeah. So we built the rice fields into that same thing. So eventually 100% of the movie was filmed here, and then assisted with visual effects.
Interesting. Wow. Talk a little bit about now directing actors. Talk about how you like to direct actors. Switching gears a little bit.
Well, I think, and like with this, this is a good example, especially talk about me being not Chinese.
Yeah.
There are a couple of things that are, again, you go back to universal language. This is a story about a family, about a man and a woman that deeply loved each other, incredible care, a family that really loved each other and was tearing itself apart as it tried to, in an effort to try to hold the family together, it was tearing itself apart. And so generally when I'm with actors, I want to hear them. And I very much, I don't like directing where there's times when you have to do it, but I don't like directing where I just say, look, you stand here, walk over there. That to me, I've never liked that form of directing.
Yeah.
I like them to be able to work the scene and talk to each other. Then we can hear the nuances.
Yeah.
And then from there, then out of that, and as we move around the set, I let them block to feel what's natural. Then I may need them to adjust and say, can you adjust that? Like if you did that over here, going that way, would that work? And then we help. And then for me, as I always, my job is to know what I don't want, because then everything else is possible. It doesn't matter whether I'm talking to the wardrobe department, craft department, the actors, everybody should have the feeling that what they can do is say, what would you think if I tried it this way? Or what about this?
Yeah.
Okay, let's try it.
Yeah.
And then know whether it works or not. And my job as the actor or as the director is to reach inside of them and give them that opportunity and help them find a way to push that extra level further in their performance, and and work that way. So I really focus on the intent, and the honesty of what a scene is supposed to be. And I do my best not to let them get away with not being honest.
Yeah.
I'm not. You would have seen in the movie. I'm not afraid of a moment to allow people to cry.
Yeah.
And because if I'm not willing to allow them that moment and the audience the opportunity to feel it, then that's not honest either.
Yeah.
So
true.
So it's just,
Now you have a good relationship with Jonathan Rhys-Davies. Talk about a little bit of how you fostered that relationship together.
You know what? I met John because he did a movie with my daughter called Sophie and Sheba. And with him and Deborah Kara Unger and Brittany, and it was just such a wonderful experience, and we became good friends out of it. And as a result, we've done a biblical movie with them. He's done a couple of movies with us in Malta. Done 2 biblical movies with John, and he's always been a great mentor to Brittany. And so when she's doing a movie, she calls and says, "John, can you be in this movie?" He'll fly and be in the movie with her. They did one in Iceland together where he just came for a few days to do a cameo. But
so nice.
He's a great friend. He's a brilliant, consummate actor.
Yeah.
And just one of those wonderful relationships that you get to build in our industry sometimes.
That's
and
awesome.
we've worked with a lot of wonderful people. And given the nature you asked, because of what we do, the genres we do, and the focus of what we are, typically the people that come to work with us, they want to work on the projects. It's not you don't have the same problems with. It's easy to get people to park their ego at the door and just do their best.
Yeah, it's a team effort. That's what I always look at it as. It's a team effort.
Yeah.
Talk about we're now working with Hallmark and how that works.
Well, before Hallmark had asked if we would consider making some movies for them. So Aggie and I said, sure. We have a style that we like to do, which are very much like making the old Audrey Hepburn movies for today. And they said, okay, well, we'd love to do that. And we've done some, and like we did Love, Romance, and Chocolate, which is one of the most ever watched Hallmark movies, the first ever English language romance movie about the chocolate industry. And we filmed it in Bruges. So it's pretty hard to do a movie about chocolate industry in Belgium and not have people love it. So, we've been very fortunate. And as a result, we've done, I think, 26 I guess we're up to 27 or 28 movies for them now. And we've got a few more that we're making. But we've just been really blessed with our career. And fortunately, we keep working. So we've got a few more to do this year.
How do you expand like you since you've worked with Hallmark as long as you have, kind of what they want and what they don't want. How do you expand kind of like the horizons? Like you talked about when you did Love on Safari or a Safari Romance. You brought them to you wanted to take the Hallmark formula and bring it to like an exotic location.
Yeah.
Was that something that you kind of had to fight for, or were they open to?
No. It's no with Hallmark. With when Aggie and I meet with Hallmark, they'll say, "Tell us where you're taking us next."
Okay, great.
So and this has always been the formula within our work. We know if you think about those bucket list places that somebody would love to go on vacation, if you can take them there in a film, then half the work is done. So you're telling the same story that's been told forever,
Yeah.
in a romance movie, but you're just finding new entry points and a way to make it interesting and different for the audience to see it in a different light.
Interesting.
So,
Now
yeah.
you've got your like whole family kind of working in this. Talk a little bit about being able to work with your whole family
Aren't we
on this.
lucky?
I mean, that's
Yeah.
great. I mean,
Yeah. So
that's
Aggie and I produce all the movies together. She writes some of them. I direct some of them, but we executive produce them together all the time, which means when we're on the road a lot doing these movies, we get to travel and be together. So
yeah,
that's the most important part. And then Brittany's become just a really accomplished actress
yeah.
in her own right. And so every once in a while we get to do some of them with her. So it means we'll travel around the world and get to do a movie together. And you get to spend some real quality family time even doing that. So in that regard, we're blessed in what we get to do for a career.
Interesting. It's, I mean, because looking at this, as we've been talking, you kind of started that out to spend time with your family, and in
Mhm.
some ways,
It's all
they
paid
they
off.
they merged. So I think
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah. No,
Um,
I think we succeeded well that way.
what does the future hold?
Um, at the moment, we've got a project coming up that hopefully we can announce pretty soon. But
Okay.
we've got a couple of TV series that we're looking at doing, a Canada South African series. We've got another project that's a film it's a bit tougher, but that one takes a long time to go over. But then we have a number of new romance movies that we're looking at doing. Love on the Nile, filming in Egypt.
Oh
We've
my.
got a movie called A Holiday Christmas that Brittany created that we're going to film hopefully next year, and it was inspired by the cottage from The Holiday,
Oh
and
my.
uh,
Yeah, yeah.
and so so we've got things like that. So we've got a number of projects that are kind of ready to go, and we'll probably do 2 or 3 this year, and that will be more than enough.
Excellent. Is there anything we haven't talked about that you would like to talk about?
No, I think no, I think we've covered a lot of nice stuff. I think it's been really this has really been a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
Love to do it again, and we can even talk about some of the other stuff. I'll send you a note on some of the other stuff if you want to
Yeah,
talk about
absolutely.
that later.
I'd love to, I mean, I watched as much as I possibly could. I mean, I could do another hour here, but I feel like, we've gotten where we need
Yeah,
to be.
I think we've got where we need to be for today. I just,
Uh,
again, I think what's wonderful is, for your listeners, encouraging anybody if they can, go to Amazon and read the book.
yes.
It's a marvelous read. Whether they get to
Excellent
see the
book.
film or not, I think the book is just so much more powerful. And if they get that opportunity, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is my little inside the actor's studio questions that I ask. These are kind of, quick questions. Do you have a beginning of the day routine?
Uh, I I get up very early. I love to sit and read in the quiet before all the phones start ringing.
Excellent.
That's the best time to read scripts.
Do you have a nighttime routine?
Uh, Spending time so Aggie and I get to visit and talk and enjoy the evening together.
Awesome. Do you meditate?
Uh, not in a formal way,
Mhm.
but yeah, in my own way, yes.
Excellent. What do you do for physical fitness?
When I'm directing, I'm walking between 10 and 20,000 steps a day anyway. So, and you're on the go from 5 in the morning till midnight anyway. So
Yeah.
that's plenty.
What are you reading?
Scripts.
Scripts.
I mostly read scripts. It's I just don't have the time to read a lot of the other stuff anymore. So I either read quick news items or I read scripts because we get a lot of them submitted.
Yeah, I know how it feels. I mean, doing this, I have to read a lot of books. So
Yeah,
I
I'm
trained
sure.
myself to read as fast as I can and you know take as much as I can. What are you listening to music wise?
Uh, Personally, I love to listen to a lot of classical.
Hmm.
Um, I love classical guitar. I like all genres,
Great.
but it's that when I need soothing, that's what I listen to.
Excellent. What are you watching?
Do you know what? I like watching nature shows.
Really? The
Yep.
calmness?
Yep.
That's what I thought.
And the calmness and the beauty.
Yeah. So there you go. There's your meditation right there. That's a form.
Exactly.
There you go. How can people reach you?
The easiest way, I mean, it's if you type in Leif Bristow on Google, my IMDb page comes up. My contacts are all there. I'm always pretty easy to find.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for doing this. This has been great.
Thank you. Thank you a lot. No, I really appreciate it. I'm glad we were able to reconnect. And I'll send you some material on some of the other stuff. And if you want to get together and talk about some of that stuff at another point, I'm happy to do it.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
Thank you for being on the DMF.
Okay. Thank you.
Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.